I'm Nadine Brandis, the author of FAWKES and the Out of Time series, and today I wanted to talk to you about some writing advice that I hear a lot that I really disagree with. So I've decided to do a bit of a mini series covering writing advice that I hate. Basically just common writing advice that I hear a lot that I don't think is good advice. So this is video number 1. There will probably be like 3 or 4 videos, but I'm excited to share with you guys my thoughts and my reasons for why I do not like this writing advice. And the first one that I want to share with you is the advice to write every day. I hear this so often, and in fact, at some point in my writing career, I actually gave this advice because I heard it so often that I figured it must be good advice, therefore I should give it when people ask me for a writing tip. And now I wish I could retract every single time I ever gave that piece of advice to an author because I don't agree with it, and I wanted to tell you why, so that hopefully, if you're a writer, this will help you. Number 1, get rid of any guilt that you feel for not writing every day, but also help you understand a little bit more about the writing process and the process of building up your imagination and taking care of your creative process. It is so important to learn and understand what your creative process needs to be able to thrive to make your stories better. So, one of those things I do not think it needs is for you to write every day. So usually, people will give the piece of advice saying, write every day. Whether that's on your blog, whether that's in a journal, whether that's on your story, you need to write every day. That's what I have heard. No, just stop. Stop feeling like you have to write every day. Just stop. I started to take that to heart, and I could not write every day. Even when I am at my busiest with my publisher and I have deadlines and I have demands and I have to write this book really fast, even then I cannot write every day, and let me tell you why. Think of your tank of inspiration. You only have so much in there, and to create a draft means to pour out that inspiration. And so if you're constantly pouring out that inspiration and pouring out that creativity, eventually your tank is going to get empty, and suddenly you find yourself forcing yourself to write when you don't want to or when you hate your story, which sometimes we do have to do that for the sake of deadlines. But what leads to burnout is when you are pushing yourself to be creative when your creative tank is empty. It is so important to allow yourself to rest and rejuvenate, because that's when your imagination and inspiration kick back in and start to replenish. Why do you think that we always get our best ideas right before we go to bed, or when we're driving somewhere and we can't write it down, or when you're in the shower and you still can't write it down because water and paper don't go together? There are memes all over the place about, isn't it ironic that our best ideas come when we can't write them down? Because I hate waking up to write it down, but I have to because I can't remember it in the morning. That's just the doom of an author. But my point is, if you think about it, in those 3 situations, you are allowing yourself to rest. You're resting because you're going to sleep, or you're driving so you're focused on one thing instead of trying to do all of these things and pour out your creativity, or you're showering so you're getting refreshed. In those times, your imagination kicks in and the words start to flow. So we need breaks in our writing process. We have to take breaks, actually. I can only write for maybe 3 days in a row before I have to take a day off. And during that day off, I allow that tank to replenish, because life is what fills back up your tank. All of our inspiration and everything that we know comes from our life experiences. The books we read, the things we do, the adventures we go on, the growth that we have as a person. And if you're constantly trying to pour that out into a story, you're never going to be pouring into yourself by living your life to write a better story. My advice is to learn your creative process. Some people can write every day and they can maintain that cycle of filling up the tank and pouring it out and filling up the tank and pouring it out. But a lot of us cannot, and then we start to feel the pressure that we have to write every day, and it becomes a task and not inspiration. So my advice is Learn your best process. Learn to understand what drains you and what fills you up, and how often you can write before you need to take a break. This will serve you so well when you have deadlines and you have to stick to them. Knowing your limitations will help you write a better book and help you be a better author and help you meet those deadlines with a more solid first draft. And if you don't have contracts, that will still help you to write a better first draft before you're pitching it to agents and publishers everywhere. That's a little bit of my soapbox. I don't think that we should write every day. There's obviously a balance to everything, because the reason that piece of advice exists is because there are authors out there and writers, and I was one of them for a time, where I just put off finishing my draft. And it took me years to finish my first draft of my first novel. So that piece of advice exists to urge us to write consistently. It is important to write consistently, especially if you're going to be published, because there are deadlines and there are demands from publishers. So if you want to be a professional author, you need to learn how to write consistently, but that doesn't mean every day. I want to know how often you write. Do you write every day, or how long can you write before you need a break? Have you ever heard this piece of advice? How does it make you feel? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you want to keep up on my videos about writing and publishing and all the bookish things, please click subscribe or the little bell icon that gives you an email alert every time I post a new video. With that, tally-ho!